Good morning and thanks so much for tuning in. You're watching Trade Talk on BQ Prime. My name is Alex Matthew. At this point, you've already gotten the setup, hopefully, for the day. Neeraj gave you the setup just a short while back on this platform, bqprime.com. And in case you didn't catch it, perhaps you should catch it tomorrow. That's at 8 o'clock every day. Now, the momentum that we've seen in the Indian equity markets over the past couple of weeks has been brilliant. And yesterday, once again, you had the Nifty 50 breach an all-time high. 19,730 or thereabouts is the new all-time high. We settled at 19,711, and that's just very close to the high point of the day. We had gains of about 150 points or thereabouts. And this time around, in yesterday's session, you had the Nifty Bank that participated in a big way. You had State Bank of India, which was a top performer on the benchmark Nifty 50, gaining about 3% or thereabouts, perhaps on account of HDFC Bank's results. And we'll talk about that in just a bit. That performance by HDFC Bank lending some bit of comfort to investors that have been looking at the banking sector with perhaps a tinge of worry about the performance in the first quarter. There's going to be a little bit of shuffle step later in the week with regard to the constituents of the Nifty 50, and we'll talk about that as well in just a bit. For now, the technical levels that you have to watch out for, 19,600 is being seen as a sacrosanct level. If we hold above that mark, then you could see a run even higher from this point. If we close below that, however, there could be some profit taking that you could see based on the kind of run that we've seen in the recent past. For the Nifty Bank, the support levels have shifted to 44,900 to 45,100, up from 44,500, and the resistance is currently placed at 45,650 to 45,800 after yesterday's up move of over 1% for the Nifty Bank. Now, turning to Reliance Industries, which is in the news for multiple reasons, but this week, most importantly, it's the demerger and the listing of Jio Financial Services that we're looking at. And as I mentioned, there's going to be a little bit of shuffle step at play on the indices. The major indices, of course, the Nifty 50 as well as the Sensex, clarifications coming in from exchanges. To tell you what that is all about and why this is happening, I have with me Sajid Mangat. Morning, Sajid.
Good morning, Alex. Isn't it going to be a bit of a heavy week this,
No, it's definitely going to be a heavy week.
You have earnings coming in, you have Adani AGMs coming in starting today at 10 a.m. and then you have the Reliance demerger coming in.
Yes, so it's going to be a busy week. But then I was focusing on the JFS demerger and listing, and there's going to be a bit of adjustment that has to take place over a few trading sessions, 3 trading sessions to be exact, to facilitate this exit. It's almost like like when you exit a passenger train and you have to ask your co-passengers to move a little bit for you to pass through the door. Explain it to us.
Yeah, so the exchanges have made it very clear that there's going to be a demerger which is going to happen effective July 20th. Ex-date happens to be July 19th, and from July 20th there's a special pre-open session for Reliance, which will help in determining the price of the demerged entity, which is Jio Financial Services. Now, as per the index committee and index methodology for BSE and NSE, the demerged entity, which is in this case Jio Financial Services, will remain within the index for the next 3 days. The price of Jio Financial Services will be the difference of the price of Reliance on the X date and on the special pre-open session price which comes in. So if say a stock is at 1,000 rupees a day prior, and on the demerger or a special or pre-open session it comes to 600 after adjustment, then the price of JFS will be or demerged entity will be 400 rupees or so. So that 400 the stock will continue to be there at 400 till the time the shares get listed and thus they start trading. Now the exchanges have provided for 3 listing days for the stock to remain within the index. So the Nifty 50 will have nearly 51 stocks, and Sensex will have 31 stocks for the 3 trading days. Consequently, what will happen is that if after the discovery of price, if this stock hits circuit on day 1 and day 2, then there will be an extension of 3 more days that will happen. But if the stock, and then if there are no circus which gets hit on in the next 2 days, then on the third day it gets removed from the index and it starts trading if there is if the shares are already there in the stock exchange. So it's going to be a affair for nearly a week if the stock is hitting circus, but it is assumed that it may not, and the price would be something which we will be closely looking at what price JFS is going to list. It also depends upon when the shares of demerged entity are credited to the accounts of the investors and they start trading on the stock
So,
exchange.
quick question on this, right? So, you have JFS, which is going to be quite a large entity even at listing, and assuming that we see buying at the start, we could see market capitalization rise quite sharply. At what point will the exchanges include it in their various indices after this initial process is done of finding the right price?
So, for demerged entities, there is a provision that they can come back to the index after a month.
Okay.
But typically it happens during a review, and review happens twice a year. So the September review is one which will look at whether JFS can come into any of the indices.
Okay, that makes sense. Thanks so much, Sajid, for that. And by the way, we'll be delving into this just a little bit more in case you want more details. And
you're doing an explainer.
I'm planning to do an explainer. I will have to take Sajid's help for that in any case. But let's turn to the banking space, where we have quite a few developments. I spoke about HDFC Bank at the start, and a stellar set of numbers for the bank. You had net profit growth of 30% or thereabouts in the first quarter. Remember, this is standalone entity still, since the merger was effective the 1st of July. Jasprit is joining in to tell us a little more about the details he picked up in the con call.
Yeah.
Was there a significant takeaway from that?
I mean, as you said, good set of numbers, good set of results overall, but there are a few things to watch here. First, growth in deposit momentum. So deposit growth momentum is somewhat slowed on a quarter-to-quarter basis. But at the same time, the bank did point out the Q1 typically for the sector tends to be a low deposit aggression year, and hence we might see that pick up going forward. The HDFC's book, the wholesale book, that's the corporate lending book, has actually degrown quarter on quarter, whereas it's shown some growth year on year basis. Now, here we have to be notable of the fact that HDFC did mention on its conference call that there has been a disruption on pricing when it comes to offering loans to large corporates. So while they do want these relationships with them, they said that they, however, are not willing to compete on that pricing. So it'll be an interesting factor to watch out going forward as well. On the other hand, we did see a 33% uptick in their overall operating expenses, which is a notable rise in operating expenses. And a bunch of that came from the branch expansion and also a lot of fresh hiring that has been done by the bank. So a few factors to watch out for. But I think the most critical factor for the next financial year for HDFC is going to be how much cross-sell that they're able to do to that HDFC Limited customer base, and how does that really work out fully for them.
Absolutely. And people have pointed out that the tailwinds really come in after that initial period of amalgamation between the two entities.
Period of amalgamation, settling in, the employees also becoming part of the bank itself. So it's going to be a transition process and an interesting one to watch for sure.
And an interesting stock to watch as well. HDFC Bank did quite well for itself as a traded for the first time as a merged entity in trade yesterday. Let's talk about Federal Bank as well, because this is another development that we have. Stock exchange notification saying that its subsidiary, the IPO of its subsidiary has been approved. So this is Fed Bank Financial Services.
What
can you tell us about it?
So initially they had filed papers back in February 2022. This was for a 900 crore IPO. Right now they've said that the approval has been given, but the details about what's the size, how much of it is going to be fresh equity shares, and how much is going to be offer for sale, who's going to be buying the book, all of those details should come down the line. But interesting factor here, given that we've seen some smaller financial institutions, NBFCs heading for the IPO market. So there's a lull in the middle where IPOs sort of slowed down, but then seems to be picking up again. So it'll be interesting to watch how FEDFINA does when it hits the markets.
Yeah, and we'll find details as soon as they find a DRHP. As of now, I think you already mentioned fresh issue plus OFS that has been
fresh
approved.
Issue plus OFS, yes.
All right, thanks so much, Jasprit, for that. Let's turn attention to the IT space, and it's been in the news all of last week and this week as well. LTIMINDTREE reporting its results yesterday, and a more or less inline set of numbers is what I thought it was. Tushar is here to tell me exactly what the results were
Good
about.
morning, Alex.
Morning.
Morning.
What can you tell us about LTIMINTREE?
Like you said, the results were in line, meeting street expectations. But when you talk about the overall picture, it looks pretty bleak, especially when you compare it with the surge that you're seeing in Nifty IT right now. So revenue coming at 8,702 crores is 1% up. Net profit is about, again, 1% up. And the EBIT margin is 16.2%. So everything is in line. Everything is looking good. Everything is arranged properly, if you want to say. It's just fitting in properly. But the problem is what the commentary coming from the company right now. The company is saying that they will not grow at double digits, what they said earlier. The company is saying that they have enough levers to maintain that margin at 15 to 16% that they're targeting right now. As far as hiring is concerned, they are wait and watch mode. They'll hire as what the demand is coming. And they're also in the wait and watch mode as far as growth in the rest of the year is going to come right now.
Now, speaking of the IT sector as a whole, we saw last week you had TCS, HCL Tech, Wipro. You have Infy results in just a couple of days.
On 20th.
20th.
Yeah.
It's going to be a busy day, 20th.
Yeah.
But just like Wipro did ahead of its results, Infy also has announced a very significant deal win.
Yeah.
And I believe we were talking about this in the setup for the IT earnings, that you could see deal wins in the AI space.
Yeah.
And this is just that, $2 billion. What can you tell us about it?
So the deal is significant because it's a huge deal in the AI space. It's $2 billion over 5 years. So it's significant in that sense that there's a new technology and there's a huge deal in that space. But what we also need to know how long that deal will continue. It's a $2 billion deal spaced over 5 years, which effectively means that the company is still, it's again in line with what is happening at the companies. They are getting deals, but these are longer term deals. They pan out over a long period of time. The discretionary spending is still not there. So when you have longer term deals, they will not give the conversion into revenue is again longer term. The discretionary deals are still not coming in. So let's also look at this deal win from that aspect as well, Alex.
Pinch of salt.
Yeah.
And we'll know soon enough about Infy as compared to the others. If I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong, Wipro out of the three stood out as you know, the best takeaway from that. Would you say that? Or?
No, I would still say that Wipro was still in line, again meeting estimates and everything. There is a problem at Wipro that they're looking, what analysts are speaking right now, that there may be a fiscal degrowth in the company. But one that has stood out so far is HCL Tech.
Okay.
By my conversations with analysts and brokerages so far, what I've noticed is that people who are in the products and platforms business, they are going to do better in the rest of the year. People who are in the traditional space will not do as well. That's what the feeling is so far.
Okay, interesting. All right. And we've had several conversations with analysts about where things stand. And quite a few of them have talked about TCS being their pick. We'll get you more details as and when we get them. Thanks, Tushar, for joining in.
Thanks.
Also, the IT pack recovering quite sharply on Friday. You saw quite a few of these frontline names gain ground. In fact, the top 5 gainers, top 6 gainers, you had 5 IT names in that list. And you saw a bit of a pop in trade yesterday, the Nifty IT hitting a 52-week high and then giving up ground towards the end of the session, ending with gains, I think, of about 1/3% or thereabouts. But let's talk about a few more earnings. There are several that are coming in, and Rishi is joining in to tell us a little bit more about a few. TATA ELXSI among your list?
Yeah. So there's IT and banks again that are in focus. So TATA ELXSI had its quarterly earnings and its revenue rose marginally by 1.5% and it crossed the 850 crore mark, while its net profit fell to 189 crores and it missed estimates of about 200 crores. Now its EBITDA was flat, while its EBITDA margin beat estimates as it stood at 29.58 crores. Now, if you look at its segments, there's the industrial design and visualization division that posted a strong growth of about over 40%, while its transportation segment also witnessed a healthy growth of 17%. Now, there's the banking sector once again. There's the Karur Vyasa Bank, whose net interest income grew over 20%, while its net profit grew over 50%. Now, the bank's deposits grew by overall deposits grew by 14%, while its CASA grew by only 2%. So CASA's contribution to the overall deposit growth was much less. And while the bank's advances also grew by in double digits by about 17%. Now, if you look at Central Bank of India, it also had its results yesterday. Then its net interest income again rose by about 48.2% to 3,176 crores. Its net profit rose 78% to 400 crores. Now, its gross NPA, it fell by almost 350 basis points to 4.95%, but the majority of this drop is because of a lot of write-offs that the bank carried out. Then if you look at its net interest margins, those also rose by about 74 basis points. So I think good results by all three companies.
All right. Thanks so much, Rishi, for all of those updates. These are stocks that you'll want to watch out for in trade today. Now, there are a few more updates that you want to focus in on, and key among them is in the M&A space. And this is not a company that you hear about every day. SHEELA Foam is the company that I'm talking about. And there are quite significant acquisitions that they have made. These are brands that you will recognize. Varsha is joining in to tell you more about those details. Varsha, what are you picking up?
Good morning, Alex.
Morning.
So SHEELA Foam, recently they had given a hint for an inorganic acquisition. So let's see what it is. Now, the SHEELA Foam, which is the maker of Sleepwell, will acquire almost 94.66% stake in Kurlon Enterprise for rupees 2,150 crore, while the company will pick up 35% stake. This is the second acquisition in the house of Kiraya-owned Furlenco for rupees 300 crore. Now, the time period for completion of this acquisition, the Kurlon Enterprises would be done by or before 30th November 2023, and for Furlenco Furniture, it is by or before 30th August 2023. Now, let's see how SHEELA Foam will benefit from these deals. One is the Kurlon deal will give SHEELA Foam an undisputed leadership across various product categories. Now, SHEELA Foam is a leader in its flagship product called Sleepwell, while Kurlon has got good market leadership in rubberized coir. SHEELA Foam will now command a market share of almost 21% in the modern mattress market in India. And this consolidation will also help SHEELA Foam for robust distribution network, for cost savings and production efficiencies. Now, the Furlenco deal will help SHEELA Foam to enter fast-growing furniture and furniture rental market, and also an opportunity to further diversify into furniture sales market. Also, this investment, will create synergies by selling input products to Furlenco company.
Very interesting on the types of mattresses that you have. It depends on whether you've gone shopping for them yourself. You will probably recognize what Varsha is talking about. I have, so I know. Thanks so much, Varsha, for joining in. All right, now there is a significant update on ZEE Entertainment, and if you were watching this stock in trade yesterday, you will have seen that it was up as much as 7%. And we were all wondering what the trigger could be. And in fact, there is quite a significant trigger for that stock price movement. We've got Saloni joining in to tell you what that is. Morning, Saloni. What are you picking up?
Right. So ZEE Enterprises had appointed an interim committee to run the daily affairs of the company as on July 14th. So this was after SEBI barred Puneet Goenka and Subhash Chandra on June 12th from holding a board or a key managerial position over allegations of fund diversions. So according to a company spokesperson, the interim committee of senior executives is aimed at ensuring smooth operations of the broadcaster. And this committee will function under the supervision of the board of ZEE and will seek its guidance on all matters pertaining to the company. So Puneet Goenka was previously the only executive director on the board of the company, but following SEBI's decision to bar him from the position, the board now comprises of 4 non-executive directors. According to a PTI report, Puneet Goenka said in a letter to his employees that the merger of ZEE Entertainment and Sony has reached an advanced stage of completion, and the issues faced by promoters with SEBI should not become a problem for the company. Goenka also reiterated that the merger with Sony is in interest of all stakeholders of the company, and its completion has been his top priority. Also, according to Bloomberg data, out of the 24 analysts that are tracking the company, 22 currently maintain a buy, 1 recommends hold, and 1 suggests sell on the stock, and the average 12-month consensus return potential is of 6.5%.
All right, Saloni, thanks so much for that. Clearly, a stock that you want to watch out for in trade. Perhaps to a certain extent, yesterday's up move captures some of this news. The fact that the Sony deal is still on the table. We'll have to hear from Sony themselves to see what they make of the latest developments. Now, let's take you through a couple more stocks that you should watch out for. Maruti Suzuki, there's a business update. They have said that they're raising the price of their Grand Vitara SUV range by as much as 4,000 rupees. And this is because of an addition of acoustic vehicle alerting system, or AVAS technology, that is designed to keep drivers as well as pedestrians safe. There's also that price change, by the way, is effective from the 17th of July. There's also RPP Infra Projects, and the company has won a new order worth 138.2 crore rupees in Himachal Pradesh, and that contract is received by the company on a turnkey job basis. The timeline for the completion of that job is 24 to 60 months for operations and maintenance. As things stand, you could see just a little bit of fatigue at the higher levels as profit-taking kicks in. You saw the flows from foreign institutional investors in yesterday's session dry up just a tad bit. On a net basis, they bought just about 73 crore rupees, and that's the lowest buy figure in quite a while. So don't be surprised if you see a bit of flat movement on the benchmark index today. A lot of news that you should watch out for, not least of which is the AGM of Adani Enterprises, and you can catch that right here on BQ Prime at 10 a.m. That's all we have for you in this edition of Trade Talk. Thanks so much for tuning in. Do stay tuned. This is BQ Prime.